Okay, welcome everybody, and I'm so glad that you are all here. So glad that you could make it. And yeah, please do continue to write stuff in the chat box, who you are, whereabouts in France you are, what you're coming here today with, I don't know, word, motivation, or any kind of objectives that you've got for this last quarter. Thank you for coming today live. And if you're watching this on replay, thank you for coming to the replay session. I know it's hard to make time for everything, so I'm really grateful for that. So I'm Leila Bodros, for those who don't know me, and hello to everybody who does. Ines is here. She's going to be a co-facilitator on the groups that are coming up, and she's introduced herself. But if you want any more information about us, you can feel free to get in touch with us afterwards, no problem. So let me have a look in the chat who's shared what. There's Louise. Louise is in Brittany. Meg's in Brittany. Yeah, it's been a tough year. I can see that. Overwhelming and exciting, Janine. Yes. Yeah, I'm feeling that too. Relieved the school term has started again. Yeah, definitely relieved to get some kind of routine back in. So today I was thinking about how to present co-development, which is what the structure of the groups that I've been running, the form that it takes. And I don't really want to do a PowerPoint. I don't think we all want to sit here and listen to facts and figures as much as I find it really interesting. I didn't want to bore everyone with it. So I thought maybe I would just talk about the story of how I got to creating Echelle. And always a story always starts with yourself, doesn't it? So there's a little bit of a backstory about how I got here. So I qualified as a probation officer in the UK in 2007, and that role was a mix of writing reports for judges, recommending sentences, parole, risk assessments, but it was also facilitating psychological programs for rehabilitation with offenders, which was super interesting, and it's kind of led me to where I am today running these groups. What I really loved about the work was helping people and being there to support them when they were ready to change. And the bit about that was it was just always such a privilege to be there when people were ready to change and to actually witness that and support them at that moment. So fast forward a lot, in 2012 I came to France. In 2016 I started my first role as an auto entrepreneur in France. It was in an agency, an estate agency. So it was all of the aspects of being an auto entrepreneur in terms of the finance and the setup of the business. But I was in an agency. So I had a team around me, I had support, and I would organise meetings with my colleagues, we would set objectives, and we would just do what we could to get ourselves through the tough times. Because if any of you have been in real estate or know anybody in real estate, you know that it's a really tough business. And the advantage of that is it gave me a lot of tools on how to prospect. I would be knocking on doors at -2 degrees. I would be cold calling people, and I would just be facing constant rejection. And I think that's just a phenomenal way to learn about business. And I also learned French because my colleagues would just correct my French constantly. In 2020, I moved into luxury real estate. And here's what I realized about myself. I'd gone from working 90% of the time with people to 90% of the time working from home. And I absolutely hated it. I just could not get myself motivated. I was also expected to prospect with lawyers and bankers and mortgage brokers, lunches, and then COVID hit. So I had no colleagues, I had no community, I had no networking. It was hideous. So then in 2023, after a lot of time had passed, real estate was really tough after COVID. I decided to go back to what I truly love, and that's supporting people. So I trained with a French coaching institution and got my coaching qualification, which was certified by the International Coaching Federation. I did it in French because I didn't want to be faced with not having something that was recognized in France. I didn't want to go through all of that. And it also boosted me, the fact that I'd taken this qualification in French. And I also used my CPF hours, which was good, reduced the price a little bit. In 2024, at the end of 2023, we moved up to Brittany. And so I found myself once again, very little community, starting out again. And by 2024, I was like, I just got to do something about this. So I did two things. I joined a national charity. It's called 60,000 Rebonds, and it helps people, entrepreneurs that have gone bankrupt and had to close their businesses, offers them a 2-year support package. And I became a coach within that organization. And I also started a networking group from my living room. So I started it with women only because it was at my house. And hi, Christina, welcome. Do you want to put in the chat where you're from and what you do and anything that you're coming with today? Thank you. Yeah, so I started this networking group. By the middle of 2024, I was doing this every month. It was building. And it was really nice, but I didn't want to just have women come round and not have anything concrete to do. I didn't want another networking group where we just hand out business cards and we pretend to be nice to each other so that the other person recommends us to somebody else. I was just like, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have coffee and chat because I haven't got time for that. And I was like, what am I going to do? It was okay. It was still going on. Every month the women were happy to come, but I just wanted to give them more. And at the same time, in the other nonprofit, I was seeing something else that really struck me. The way that that was set up, every month we would come and have a meeting. And in that meeting, alternately, we were asked to bring our entrepreneurs with a subject or a challenge or a situation to the group. And we would use a co-development method to help that person with the situation. So what happens is the person comes with their situation and they become the client. And everybody else in the group takes on the role of consultant. And the consultant's job was to ask questions to understand their situation better. And it's that whole defining the problem. So you come with what you think is a problem, but with everybody asking you the questions, you actually really find out what the real problem is. And then everybody shares their experiences and perspectives to help the client choose their next steps. And the beauty of the method is it works in a really small group with clear rules, and there's confidentiality, there's respect, there's kindness, there's no debate. People share what's worked for them, and the client is free to take what resonates, and then they can leave the rest. And what I saw in those groups was amazing. So these entrepreneurs, most of them were men in rural Brittany. They've been running multi-million euro businesses in building, in agriculture. They weren't used to being open. They weren't used to being vulnerable. And when they shared in those meetings, they left with like renewed motivation, and I could just see them light up. And it was just really heartwarming. And I was like, that's it. I've got to do this with my women. So I brought that into my women's groups, and we started using this co-development method. The groups got too big for my lounge, and I went to the town hall and they told me to set up an association so I could have access to their facilities. Excuse me, my phone's, just turn it off. So I started doing co-development with my women, and they were brilliant. They just came, they were vulnerable, they shared their situations, and the other women responded with respect. They had such a diverse range of ideas because even if they were entrepreneurs, so many of them had come from different backgrounds. They had just so much knowledge of different services, and also stories of how themselves they had managed in similar challenges. Christina comes to my groups, and Louise as well, and there's always been so much to share from different people and their different perspectives. And what I saw is that these women were leaving with motivation, momentum, and their businesses were starting to take off. But the other thing that I saw was the connections. The connections were really strong. The networking just happened naturally. These women were sharing each other's services. They were interested in what the other people were doing. They wanted to know more. They were booking appointments. They were sharing skills if they didn't have much of an income. They were sharing these other people's skills with other people in their network. And it was all just happening naturally because of the bond that was forming in these groups. And thirdly, the friendships were just brilliant. The friendships that have been created in these groups are heartwarming. these women, we all get together, we know that we can call each other up, people are going through different things at different times, and we've all got the same ambition to do well in our businesses, but we're also all there for one another. They're literally like championing each other from the sidelines, and if some of them can't be there for the next groups, then the other women are always asking how the other women are getting on, and I feel like that kind of momentum and support just develops naturally, because when you come to these sessions, you are there naturally to support one another. So why Echelle and why online? So while all of this was happening locally, I was also part of other networking, and still am, other networking and strategy groups, which I really appreciate, but a lot of them are purely English or Anglophone or with an American slant, and it's really useful and helpful, but I thought, why not bring what I'm doing with my local women in France to the English speaking community? So we've got that real mix of understanding what's happening with all the admin and everything in France, but also coming from the perspective that we wanted more than this. We wanted a French life, but we wanted to be able to succeed in business as well, and trying to bring those two things together. In the meantime, I went and did co-development training, so I got certified to do it officially as well, and that was really good because that showed how the co-development is set up online. So it gave me a better way to be able to present this online, or the official way, and it actually works really well. I know that some people worry about the transfer of energy and the groups when you're online, but I always find that the energy flows through online, well, whenever I've experienced it. So it's going to be okay. For those of you who are not used to doing these things online, it's actually really, really good. The other thing that I noticed when I was facilitating the groups at a local level is, despite all of the women being entrepreneurs, they all came in at different levels, and everybody had something to offer. But someone who's just starting out has got very different needs to someone who's been running a really successful business for quite a few years and then has got a downturn and then is coming back up. That person won't really be worried about how I'm going to approach my pricing strategy, for example. They're going to be more worried about, how do I get back into an industry where I feel like I'm on a back foot now. And the co-development works best when we're all on a similar hierarchical level. So my aim is to have the 3 different levels of Echelle, where everyone can connect with peers at the same level as they are in business. What I know, though, from running groups is, to begin with, we can't specifically have like lots and lots of people all at once. So my invitation at this stage is, what I'd love to do is just create one group, pilot group, because it's a maximum of 8 people. If we have any more than 8, you don't get that same powerful connection. I'm going to start a pilot group. It's just going to be a one-off for now, see who comes, and then we talk about where we go from there. And if we have more than 8 people and I could do 2 groups, that's brilliant. And maybe at that stage I can see where you guys are at your business level, and then I can put you in the appropriate groups. And yeah, just to see how it goes. The idea is to have one group every month, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, but I know that's a lot to ask, 3 hours from somebody, but 2 hours. And I don't want to talk about price yet, because I want this to be accessible, and I want to see where everybody's at. And I'd rather have a conversation with you and ask where you're at with your business. For people who are just starting out, I know that you haven't got the resources to put into something, and this is always coming from the heart. So I want this to be able to be accessible, but then also for the people who have got the resources and stuff, we can discuss what your level of investment can be at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the link here for a Google Forms doc. I'm going to put it in the chat. Can everyone see the chat? Yeah, you can put your microphones on. I'd like to hear from you now. Christina, talk to us, because you've got to go today, haven't you? You've got to go soon.
Yes. I can see the form.
Yeah, you can see it. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah,
I
do
was on.
you think you're going to be able to come to one of the groups, the pilot group?
Yeah, I kind of missed the first part because I clicked on a link and it took me to something else.
Oh,
So,
that was my first links. Yeah, that was me, my technology boo
uh, okay.
boo.
Here I was, thought I was on time.
So Christina's been coming to my groups locally, but we've never had enough English speakers to do a co-development English speaking one. But you've participated in the French ones, haven't you? Which is lovely.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things that, as much as we love French, speaking it, there's just something more about expressing ourselves in our mother tongue. There's just more vocabulary, just more connection of what I'm trying to express. So I'm happy that you have an English group. So yeah, I'm interested to see what you have, because I kind of missed the first part. So I guess we fill out the form and then we.
Yeah, if you just fill out the form and let me know what dates you'll be available, and then I'm going
Okay.
to set up a pilot group, and
Okay.
just so that everybody can get a feel for how it is and if they think it will work for them. Because what I'm really conscious of is there are so many things that are offered nowadays that sometimes you join something and you think, oh, this is going to help me, and then you're like, oh, this is really not what I expected. This is not working for me. So, and I'd rather that everybody had the opportunity to come in and see if it's something that works for them or not, because we're all different. And what I can say is, for all the people that I know that are doing it, I mean, the French people, they say like they fell in love with like the process, and there are big businesses using this all around France because it's a Quebecan. It was invented by two coaches in Quebec. One of them is called Monsieur Payette, and the other one is Mr. Champagne. And I don't know if you know, but Payette is sparkles in French. So I was like, oh, this is definitely a method for me if it's by sparkles and champagne. But because it's a French method, it's used a lot by French people. And Ines and I were trying to find the books in English, and they just don't have them. They're just all the books are in French. I did my training in French, so I read the books in French, but there's not a lot directly translated from them in English. But I'm sure we're going to find some English books that talk about the method. But yeah, it's really powerful, and it's also really good for, especially as coaches and consultants and stuff, because the idea is you do not come in and you don't give somebody the solution. You listen to them, and because it's timed, you have to listen to them. And it's funny when you read the books about them trying to do it with consultants, it's really difficult to get everyone to just back down, wait till it's your turn to speak, and then it's not the time to analyze. We're going to analyze afterwards, and really having that structure makes us come back into ourselves and slow down and let the person find their own solutions based on what they can take in, or what they don't want to take in. And the beauty is you do not have to accept everybody's suggestions, or there's no debate. Literally, during the consultation phase, you just listen to everybody's ideas, you write them all down, and then at the end you'll talk about what your next steps are. And you don't have to say, oh, I took your idea, or I took your idea, or I didn't want your idea. You don't have to, there's no obligation. You just talk about what was good for you, what your next steps are, and then everybody in the group gets to talk about what they took away from the session as well. And what we do in the live groups is we do have like a moment of, they call it the météo. So you just take everybody's weather, and that's kind of like an accountability part of the meeting, where we do hear what people have been up to, and people are really interested to see if you follow through with what you've done the month before. So it's accountability, but it's not homework, or you can do it at your pace, but it does kind of install that kind of like, okay, where are we going with this? How are we moving forward? And I think some of us can just sort of turn around and round and round, avoiding what we should actually be doing and trying to find solutions to a problem that's not actually really the problem. And the beauty of the group is, even when it's actually not your situation that you've brought to the group, a lot of us are experiencing the same thing. So you can actually find a lot of the answers to situation that you're facing just by listening to one of your peers talk about their situation. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this in training that you've done in corporate environment, or no?
I've got an impulse, and part of the impulse when I'm hearing you speak, Leila, is there's a sense of when we're able to find the answers for ourselves, that there's an inner spark and an inner creativity that comes out when we, as being women, that I really see being an inherent quality to women. And there's so much of the societal structures that we're currently living in that really has such a top-down approach and is coming from such a mental and strategy level, when there's so much information that is available to us beyond the mind, and then really dropping into that in this collective field where we can be held and seen and have ourselves be reflected to each other, but also let our own inner wisdom guide us, is really this next step forward in a way that I'm seeing leadership developing in today's world, especially as women are increasingly being given a platform to lead and to show up in positions of leadership, but doing that from maybe a feminine and a receptive standpoint, of course, also with clarity and direction. And for me, this is really an invitation for us to be able to do that.
Thank you, Ines. Does anyone have something to add to that?
Well, she took a word right out of my mouth. I remember we were meeting, I've been going to your meetings, and I was telling you, just as like she was saying, but she said it so beautifully. I was like, we are just elevating each other, just sitting here talking to each other. It just doesn't have to be about even a specific subject. I just even felt like on a cellular level, we're leveling up. So just, I have to agree with her, just as this, we're going to be getting together, and as what you're putting this together, this is just another platform where we can actually evolve into this new way of not looking to somebody on the exterior to help us, but with some guidance, going back and relying on ourselves and looking towards our inner power for that. So I'm excited on that.
Thank you, Christina. Janine Somsey, you had something to say.
Yeah, I've done a lot of facilitation training and coaching, and I used to, I started up a group here in France under a paid membership community, but it didn't take off. And I was having business circles, and that was just an opportunity for, entrepreneurial women to get together and have a chat. And that's what they said. It was like the best thing was coming and listening to each person speak, and that they just about all agreed that they learned something from what the other person was doing. And very often the issues and challenges they were faced with were the same, and often even each month, we did the monthly, the theme of that particular session would be the same for everyone, and it was really interesting. But yeah, we spend so much time on social media, so much focus on posting, and we're not interacting, we're not integrating, and we're losing the personal connection. And that's what we all need more of.
Yeah, thank you, Janine. Thanks. Janine, is it Greytrix your name? How do you say it? Gratrix?
Gratrix.
Gratrix. What's your experience of networking and stuff? Because I know you've just started out as a coach, so have you had much?
I've only just started working out. So what's lovely is the cohort that I graduated with, we've all remained in contact. So yes, there's groups within groups almost. So I have a very small group of, say, 5 of us. There was probably around 40 of us on the course that all graduated. So there's 5 of us together who kind of feel like we're, okay, let's all stick together, and we're in very different places. So as I'm in France, I've got a couple of people in England, there's somebody else in Switzerland. And that feels really, it's supportive. So it feels like you're not doing this on your own, because I've just started out. So I've only just got my coaching business, and I've only just graduated. And it feels that suddenly we're thrown into, well, now you've got to build a website, you've got to go and do marketing, you've got to do publicity, advertising. This is all going to cost money. You don't know where to put it. So it feels a lot better when there's a group of you to kind of go, what are we going to do? And we tend to do it over we call it a wine club, although we do drink tea, and it depends what time of day it is. But it's so nice just to have somebody else beating their head against a wall, because it's like, how the hell do I build this, and what do I do with this, and who do I talk to? And then we've got a bigger group as well, so it feels nice having the bigger group talking about more high level stuff, and we're not quite as intimate, but that feels good as well. And I think in the world at the moment, it just feels like we're almost getting shut down, like we're not having connections with people. We're not being able to, if you express an opinion, you get shot down and you get trodden on and trolled and evil stuff all the time. So it's nice to this is the other side of it. There is connection. There is something good about being together in a group and working together, and not this horrible sewage that seems to be going on out there.
Oh, we're gonna avoid all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Steph.
I guess I don't know what I was thinking I was going to say. It's escaped my brain now, but I would love to be a part of a group where some other people are making mistakes that I can learn from, because I'm usually the one that's full steam ahead, throw something at the wall, see if it sticks. And everyone, literally since I was a kid, like learning, my little brother learned a lot about how to not get in trouble from me. So it's kind of moved into my professional life as well. I'm kind of looking for a space where I can slow down a little bit and be a part of a community with people who've done it before me, because I haven't run a business on my own, and I chose to do it the minute I got off the plane in a country where I don't speak the language. So I have a lot to learn from other people. So this kind of thing sounds wonderful.
Oh, brilliant. And what do you do, Steph?
I'm a copywriter and content strategist.
Amazing.
Background in corporate, agency, in-house, all that kind of stuff. So doing it on my own is tough. And with AI kind of coming in and people, the untrained eyes, thinking that my job is now redundant, I'm battling against that, but also leaning into it. So teaching a lot of my clients how to actually leverage that with the help of a copywriter. So yeah.
Oh, good.
That's me. So, Janine, if you have any, if you need any help with websites and stuff like that, I'm always around. So please, I'll pop my email in the chat if anyone needs any help with that stuff. I can do it quite quickly, which I know is a tricky thing. We have to have an online presence now and be a marketer as well as the thing that we're actually doing. I'm finding that I'm the plumber with the leaky pipes at the moment. My website and my copywriting and my social presence is suffering because I'm doing it for clients. So I get it. Thanks.
Meg, tell us about your business, and I think you're I would say you're similar to Louise in the way that you have clients that are abroad. You've been running successful businesses for years, and so maybe you've got different outlooks on what's going on right now, and what you need.
Yeah, so all my client base is in the UK, which is a challenge in itself, because I don't necessarily get the face time that my competitors do. But I think for me, so I set up in 2021, and there was so much business. 21, 22, 23, 24 calmed down a bit, and this year it's like the market's just stopped almost. So it's basically I'm just having to try to, well, and now we're in September and I'm only kind of realizing that I'm like, okay, I need to change how I actually am working. So I've never done really new business development. It's not my thing. I hate it. And haven't really had to do it until, well, now I'm thinking that's what I'm going to have to do more of. And so it's just gearing myself up to that, I guess. Just a different way of working, potentially for, this, I don't know, the next 6 months, maybe the next year. And it's not what I like doing, really, which is challenging.
Louise, did you want to add something to that? Thank you, Meg, for that sharing.
I think I came out of accounting and I've been really, really lucky so far on my journey, working on my own, which I started in 2018. And I haven't ever had to go and do business development because everything's happened kind of organically through contacts. So I've always been in my comfort zone. But now my son's a bit older. I've got a bit more time to spend, and I've stopped and looked around and said, oh, this is actually not boring. I'm very grateful to have the work, but it hasn't stretched me or challenged me for a long time. And I know that if I want to do something that's going to stretch me, I need to actually do something and make an effort. And then there's something holding me back from that because I kind of, a bit risk averse, and I stick with what I know, but then I haven't really grown professionally. And I have that envy when I look at my peers who've stayed in-house in firms and are in these senior roles. And I have that constant discussion with myself about the benefits of working for myself, which are huge, the flexibility versus the lack of team and the lack of development opportunities, and just that, I miss colleagues as well. I had good friendships with colleagues, and it's not the same. So yeah, I just wanted to say as well about Leila's groups that I've attended, I think, 3 of the co-development sessions, and I was really skeptical before, thinking, oh, this doesn't really apply to me. These were the French ones, and I thought, I don't have anything in common with these people in these different businesses. And it's amazing how at the end of each session, you're really invested in the issues that are coming up, and it didn't really matter what they're kind of agnostic to what line of work you're in. It does really apply across the board, and it's been really nice over the summer. I think people have checked in, chatting to each other, and I just feel so pleased when I hear an update on so I did get that website done, or I did do this, and it that's just from meeting a couple of times. It was so impactful. So yeah, I just wanted to share that as being someone who's always a bit skeptical about things. I was like, this is actually, it's incredible what we can achieve just sitting together and just sharing. So yeah, thanks, Leila.
Oh, thank you, Louise. That's really nice. It's really kind of you to say that. And yeah, it's always hard, isn't it? Especially when you don't speak the language. And like Christina was saying, like your input, Christina, even though we had to translate and stuff, it was still one of the things that one of the other women said, oh yeah, and what Christina said really, it really landed with me. And so yeah, it's because a lot of our problems, we have like a surface way of talking about them, but a lot of it is stuff that comes from the inside, and I think we're all sharing those things that are blocking us or limiting us, or things that we don't really know are there, those subconscious blockages, and yeah, we're all kind of feeling the same sort of thing. It doesn't matter what language we're speaking or what business we're doing. And then there's also obviously the external factors, the economy, and yeah, people's lack of spending capacity, and the job market, which is just horrendous. I mean, recruitment and everything is just so hard. I think it's the same in England, Meg, but I know that for the charity that I work for here, one of the biggest issues that the entrepreneurs who've gone bankrupt and stuff, their biggest challenge is recruitment, because they have all these skills. I mean, these people are like, why are they not getting interviews? It just blows my mind. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening, external stuff that we've got no control over, which is also why it's nice to have a group of people to kind of bounce that off and learn patience and talk about what we've done, and that then people reflect your resilience back at you and say, you've done really well, just keep on keeping on. So yeah, that's what I hope to bring online. So I'm already feeling it's working well with my women locally, and I think online we will be able to do something magical as well. I also think, even though this year has been difficult, it's also a year, if you're into numerology, it's the year 9. We've had the 999, which is the end of a chapter. The number 1 again is a new chapter. And even if we don't believe in all this stuff, you would talk to people that don't even believe in stuff like that. They're like, oh, I think everything's stopped, and I think it's closed, and I'm done with that. I'm done with the old ways. I'm going to try something new. So this is my invitation for you guys to try something new this year, see how it works. And worst case scenario, we've made a cool bunch of friends over the next few sessions. So has anyone got any more questions? No? Ines, did you want to add anything? No. Okay. Well, it was so lovely to see you all here. Thank you so much. And I look forward to getting your responses in the form. Feel free to get in touch with me any way you want, LinkedIn, call me, whatever you want, if you want any more information, or if any of those dates don't work for you and you're all still interested in trying the group out. I'm always open at the beginning to hearing people's feedback. That's the advantage of being the first ones in. You get one-on-one communication. So yeah, feel free to reach out. And thank you so much for being here. Lovely to see you all.
Leila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.